In this video, we are reviewing the rights in real estate ownership. This applies to national, so this is a national portion of an exam, knowing what the rights are of property ownership. So we're going to review a little bit of the rights and then do some sample questions. All right. So the review in the book, okay, has all the different sections for the national exam. So my goal is to go through each section and then do some questions at each time that we do this. So this is National Principles and Law Key Point Review. So what is rights? So right, it's land, real estate, and real property. So land is the surface, the airspace, and the subsurface below, right? So you have three levels: below the earth, on the surface, the soil, surface minerals, and then the airspace. Real estate, you have some type of interest in real property. And what is the real property? The land and the improvements that are attached to it. So land, surface, all natural things attached to it. The subsurface, okay, that's below the ground, below the earth, below what we stand on, and the air above the surface. Okay, so we have three levels. Airspace, so they can rent airspace. Certain companies own the airspace. They have rights to the airspace, and you can't block the view, or airplanes can't pass through, or other countries can't pass through our airspace. Okay, then the surface, that's where the improvements are. Any buildings, any plants, any sheds, any garages, anything that's built on the surface, that's part of the land. And the subsurface is below. So if you have a well, you have all the plumbing below, you have the minerals below. So anything that is from the surface of the earth to the ground, that is the subsurface. So real estate, what is real estate? Land and the man-made permanent attachments. So real estate is you have an interest in the land and the man-made attachments. And real property, so you have an interest in real estate, and you have all the bundle of rights. Okay, so all the bundle of rights, you can enjoy it, possess it. That's where what is it, deep sea, right? You can dispose of it, you can enjoy it, you can encumber it, getting loans or debts on it. You can exclude individuals. So those are the bundle of rights. So we have a fee simple type of real estate. Those are the rights that we have. It's the best type of rights to have. On what type of property? Real property. So you have interest in real property. So Constitution guarantees private ownership of real property. So it's a constitutional law. All right, so some of the characteristics, physical characteristics of real property. So it is immobility, you cannot move it, indestructibility, and heterogeneity. So every piece of property is different. So land cannot be moved from one side to another. Its location is forever. Now, if we have an earthquake, all right, you may lose some ground, but where is it going? It's on the subsurface. It's still there, but it's on the subsurface. It's just not on the surface. If there is a tsunami, if there is erosion, so we're losing part of the surface or the edge of the land. Okay, however, the land is still there. We can't move it. We can subdivide it. We can add improvements to it. So immobility, cannot move it. Indestructibility, basically nature can destroy it. And heavy equipment, right? We take from it. We take minerals. We take quarries and we make holes in it. So land is permanent and cannot be destroyed, since by definition, it extends below ground and into the sky. So it's vertical. You have airspace, surface, and below. So it goes to the center of the earth. Can't destroy that unless the earth were to completely blow up, okay? Since land is permanent, it does not depreciate. Okay, it doesn't lose value. It doesn't get old. Land is land. When we put an improvement on the surface, well, that improvement can age with wear and tear, and as the years go on, and it can be destroyed. Those are the improvements. That's part of the real property. Only improvements depreciate and insurable. So this is why investors buy real estate, or banks or big companies, because there's a write-off. It's a tax shelter. You have depreciation in addition to all the overhead costs. All right, you can depreciate it. You can so some properties, it's 27 and a half years that it's continuing to be depreciated, and they're insurable. So the improvements, you can also write off property taxes, insurance, maintenance for investment properties. On our own personal property, we can write off the property taxes and the interest on a mortgage, not the insurance. All right, non-homogeneity. Okay, so that was one of it, right? Immobility, indestructibility, heterogeneity. So non-homogeneous, every piece is different. Land is not homogeneous. No two parcels of land are exactly the same, since they have a different location. Could be right next to it, right? It's adjoining to it, but every piece is a little bit different. The slope, how you step on it, it could have holes, it could be horizontal, it could be a rectangular, it could be a square. So it could be a mountain. So every piece is different. So they call it non-homogeneity. It's not the same, or it's called what? Heterogeneity. Different. Heterogeneous. Homogeneous means, non-homogeneous. Land is non-homogeneous. No two parcels of land are exactly the same. So land versus real estate. So let me put that on one page here. See if I can do that. So land is immobility. Land cannot be moved from one side to another. Okay. Indestructibility, non-homogeneity. Okay. Land versus real estate. Okay. So you have the air surface, okay, the airspace. So airplanes go by here, or you have skyscrapers, and sometimes they block the view, in certain cities. You have the surface, right on the surface. This is where the home and the trees, everything sits on top, a fence. Then you have the subsurface, goes to the center of the earth. So the top, okay, on the surface is natural in its attachment. They're man-made, okay, attachment. So the natural are the trees, the plants, okay, that grow with nurturing them with sun and water and other fertilizers and health products to improve them. So land, air surface, subsurface, natural attachments. So that is the land portion of it. The real estate is the land and the improvements. Okay, real estate, you have an interest in land and the man-made attachments and anything else that's added to that piece of land. So real estate as property. Always keep in mind, real estate, you have an interest in real property and the improvements, the bundle of rights. They call it putty or putty. You can possess it. You can use it, enjoy it, transfer it, okay, convey it as an owner conveys it with a deed, exclude it, exclude anyone from the property, and encumber it. You can get you can get loans on it. You can have liens on it. So that's encumbering it. So sometimes they use deep C, all right, for the bundle of rights. Here they use putty or putty. Possess, enjoy, possess. You possess 100% of it, not just 30%. The interest amount that you own on it could be 30%, 50%, 70%. If it's a joint couple, married couple, it's 50-50, right? If it's tenants in common, it'll be 30-70, 40-60, 50-50, whatever percentage they want. So they possess the whole property and they can use it and enjoy it. They can transfer it. However, there's other rules that have to be followed depending on the type of ownership. If it's a married couple, they have to both agree to transfer. They can exclude from it, okay? Do not enter, and of course, encumber it. So legal title versus equitable title. So picture this when you're going into the test. What is land? Air, surface, and subsurface to the center. Any natural, attachment. So the natural attachment, man-made attachment, that's the real estate, is the land here, plus anything you attach to it. All right, legal title versus equitable title. We hear that a lot. So what kind do we have? And there are lien theory states and title theory states, right? Legal title, full legal ownership of property and the bundle of rights as they apply to it. So these are the rights an individual has when they have legal title. Contrast with equitable title. Okay, so legal title could be the lender keeps the legal title of it until the loan is paid off. Then they convey that title. In the meantime, the borrower, equitable title, an interest that gives a lien holder or buyer the right to acquire legal title to a property if certain contractual conditions occur. So when there's a deed of trust, the borrower has equitable title, the lender has the legal title. When the loan is paid off, it goes to the borrower, it is conveyed to the borrower, and now they have legal title. And so that's like in states that are a title theory state. A lien theory state will have the lender keeps the title. They keep legal title. So if you're unfamiliar with that, go back and review that. Okay, property characteristics. So property is either real estate, land, and the improvements. Okay, that is real property, or personal property. Personal property, anything you can move, chattel, cattle, your implements, which are crop, anything that is not permanently affixed to the property. That is personal. If it's real, it's part of the land. It goes with the land. So property is either tangible or intangible. Real property rights. Airspace, you have air rights. Surface of the earth, you have surface rights, and it could be surface soil rights. Some farmers that own a lot of acreage, they sell the surface separately, okay? Or they rent the surface to farmers that want to grow crop. Okay, so they're using the surface of it, right? Because plants and crop that is harvested, they don't need to go very deep. They just use the good quality surface soil. And then subsurface or mineral rights. Okay, you can have oil, gas, okay, other minerals, gold, copper, other minerals that are down. And then, of course, water rights. You could have a well that has real good water producing. That can be sold separately. An individual can sell the land and keep the water rights, keep the mineral rights. So some individuals or investors, they want the whole thing. They want to get the mineral rights, the surface rights, water rights, everything. Well, it depends on the owner. Sometimes the owners keep them for hundreds of years, and it's land that maybe produces oil or other type of minerals. Okay, the doctrine of prior appropriation. State controls water usage. State grants usage permits. So we have water rights, right? Riparian and littoral. Those are controlled by the state. And the state will grant how you can use those water rights. So riparian rights, rivers and streams. Okay. It applies to rivers and streams. So riparian rivers. Okay, moving water, moving creek, rivers, streams. If waterway is navigable, owners own land to the water's edge. Okay, to the water's edge. So if the water is high, where the water level meets your land, that's what you own. Okay, so it's the navigable owned land to the water edge. If waterway is not navigable, owners own land to midpoint of waterway. So if it is like a creek and nobody is going through it, or a narrow river and no one can navigate, then an individual owns to the center of that creek. Okay, not to the surface, as in with the Mississippi River, Columbus River, or anything like that. They own to the edge of the level of the water. Littoral rights, lakes, seas, oceans, Gulf of Mexico, that applies. So that does not, yes, you have waves, right? You have waves, but it's not going in one direction or the other, east or west, right? So it is not a river or a stream. It applies to seas and lakes. So lakes, littoral lakes, riparian rivers. So with the, let's see here. So littoral rights, lakes and seas, applies to seas and lakes. It's abutting property owners own to high water. Okay, it's right on the owners. It abuts it. Okay, so here's the lake. Okay, here's the lake and there's the land. Okay, so it abuts it. And state owns underlying land. So anything below, the state owns it. We basically own, okay, on the surface area. Abutting property owners own to high water mark, just as, and also the riparian rights, okay, to the owner's own land to water's edge, to water's high, to own to high water mark. So very similar. So memory tip, R, river, riparian, L, lake, littoral. All right, real property versus personal property. So real property, land, fixtures, attachments, anything that is attached and goes with the land. That is real property. Personal property, chattels. It's movable. It can be tangible or intangible. Trade fixtures, right? Somebody has a business. They're a dentist, and they have their dentist chair, or any other types of business that they need their tools in order to perform the business. So if they're renting or they own it and own the property, right, they can take those trade fixtures. The other person won't need them. Implements, okay, like the crop on the surface of the earth, right? They're renting the surface of the earth because it has good soil for crop. So differentiation criteria. Item is real or personal property. Okay, real or personal. Real does not move. It's a fixed. Personal is movable. Your car, your RV, the mobile home. Like some mobile homes, they get converted to real property. The wheels have to be removed. It'll be on hopefully a concrete foundation and a skirt added around it. Then it becomes part of the land. So item is real or personal depending on how item is attached to the real estate. Okay, depends on the owner's intention. So here's where it comes Maria, the method, right? So the intention, adaptation, functionality, relationship of the parties, or contract provisions. So the contract determines, if the owner decides they want it and it's affixed to it, right? The contract will say anything that is attached to the property goes with the property. Now, if they decide and discuss amongst themselves to negotiate it, they can do that. Functionality. What was the method that it was attached? How is it adapted to the property? What was the intention? To provide electricity, to provide water like plumbing, windows for sunshine coming in or daylight. Trade fixtures, personal property, items temporarily attached to real estate. Highlight, Quinn. So personal property is items temporarily attached to real estate. When you have an interest on real property in order to conduct business. So that's your business fixtures, not permanent fixtures. So implements, plants or crops that are considered personal property despite being attached to the land, right? So the crop has a very low root. It doesn't go, and it gets harvested, every year. Certain crops get harvested in the spring, other crops get harvested in the fall. So they don't grow deep. They're not permanent, right? So a farmer rents the surface soil because it has good minerals to grow plants. So that is personal property. That is implements. And if someone is leasing the land and an individual ends up buying it, they have to wait and take over that land to whatever they're going to do until the crop is harvested, because the crop belongs to the tenant, not to the owner of the land. So conversion, are you going to convert real property to personal property or real personal property to real property? So real property to personal property referred to as severance. So you're severing the relationship of that real property to personal property. Personal property to real property, is referred to as affixing. So you have a personal property. Let's say you have a shed. Well, now you want to make it part of the land. So you pour a concrete slab and you put it on there. It's attached. It's permanent. It becomes part of the property. It's affixed. Or a fence that initially was just on the surface. Well, now you dig poles into it, metal or wood, and it's attached to the land. It's not a personal property that can be removed. So that is conversion. Factory built housing, mobile homes or manufactured homes. Units are real or personal property. They're typically starting out as personal property, but then they can be affixed. So real property is permanently affixed to the ground, like putting the mobile home, removing the tires, putting it on concrete, putting a skirt foundation, putting tie downs. That becomes permanent. That manufactured or mobile home now is real, part of the real property. The land and the improvement, that's real property. Otherwise, it is personal. Regulation of real property interest. That might be, yes. So that's still part of rights. So regulation of real property interest. When you have an interest on the land and the improvements, the airspace and the subsurface. Federal regulation grants rights of ownership. Federal regulation grants rights of ownership. Like we have homestead. That's a homestead right for individuals that live on that property, and they get tax exemptions. They have to apply for the tax exemption, but the homestead is automatic. Controls broad land usage standards. So there are standards on how we can use that piece of land. Regulates anti-discrimination laws. Example, land grants, federal flood zones, fair housing laws, Federal Housing Administration, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. Everything is developed to protect who? The public. And keep businesses and public industrial agriculture separate. State regulations governs real estate business. sets regional uses standards. So every state has their own legal laws. There's national laws, okay, which we go over as part of the rights. And then every state has their own. And then it goes down to even, more local laws. So state regulation governs real estate business, sets regional usage standards, example, license laws, water rights, development regulation. The government powers, police power is cheat, and eminent domain, and easement, right? Local regulation levies real estate taxes. So that's every county. They levy real estate taxes on every parcel and the improvements. If you add improvements to the property, your taxes are going to increase. Control specific uses. Examples, property assessing, how they assess the value of a property to tax it. Zoning, building permits, tax levies. All these here bring in money to that community to keep it thriving, to keep it growing. Okay, so we have a right to use the land, but it doesn't mean we own it 100%. So judicial regulations, judicial by law. Okay, there's law, regulation. So that's judicial, judge. Applies case law and common law to disputes. So contrast with statutory law. So some laws, common laws, or laws that have been in existence because of other cases. So they were developed and made into current laws because of incidents that happened in the past. So when individuals go to law school, they study other cases that happened in the past. Those are common laws to disputes that happened, and then are then put into law for current usage, which is the current statutory laws. All right, so that's that. We just reviewed the rights of land. Okay, so we reviewed rights. So now we're going to do some questions that have to do with rights. Okay, so let's go to some questions. So we're only going to do the portion for rights. All right, so now you can participate and type your question answer. I believe there's only like 10 or 12. So we just reviewed what the rights are of real property, personal property, national, federal, okay, and local. And state. Which of the following would be defined as real estate as opposed to real property? A, wells, driveways, and signs on a parcel of land. B, mobile homes temporarily parked on a parcel of land. C, timber that has been cut and is lying on a parcel of land. Or B, business equipment an owner or tenant has placed on a parcel of land. So which one is real property? Which give you rights to those parts. Remember, surface, subsurface, air. And real property is part of the land, goes with the land. All right, so we have A so far. Okay, so let's see here. All right, anybody else? So we've got Delta, okay, all A, and that is correct. So it is wells, driveways, and signs on a parcel of land, right? They become affixed to the property. They are part of the real property. Well is on the subsurface. Driveway is on the surface. signs on a top of parcel land, it's above, right? It's not just on the surface, it can go up. So why didn't that? Very good. All right. Number 2. So remember, these questions have to do with rights for national test. So which of the following would be considered a property improvement? A, an alteration to land to make it more useful. B, an increase in the value of a property. C, a chicken coop permanently attached to the land. Or D, a parcel of land that has passed a percolation test. So which one is considered a property improvement? You're improving the property by adding something that you're attaching. Awesome. Very good. C, a chicken coop permanently attached to the land. That goes with the land, right? Awesome. Number 3. Oh, keep forgetting to show the answers. Which of the following best describes the physical boundaries of land? Physical boundaries. What are boundaries, right? A, the surface of the earth and infinite space above the surface. B, the center of the earth and infinite space above the earth. C, the surface of the earth and all the water and minerals on or below the surface of the center to the center of the earth. Or D, the surface of the earth and the air rights above the surface to the point defined by local zoning. So be very careful. You know, it may not name all 3, but by the description, it'll include all 3. So is it just the surface and the infinite space above? From the center to the earth to the infinite space above? The surface of the earth and all the water and minerals on or below the surface to the center? Or the surface of the earth and the air rights above? So remember, dump, dump, and dump. The answer is B, from the center of the earth, okay, down in the center, and all the way passing the surface and all the airspace above. So they showed all 3 levels: below the surface, and the airspace. I saw somebody's answer and I almost typed that answer. Okay, C only says the surface of the earth and all the water and minerals that are below to the center. It didn't include the airspace. Okay, so that's why C is not correct. So legal concept of land encompasses the surface of the earth, everything beneath the surface of the earth, and downward to the center. There's a movie called Down to the Center of the Earth, something like that. All natural things permanently attached to the earth and the air above me, okay? That is above where airplanes fly and you can see and not interfere, hopefully, with somebody else's view. Land, therefore, includes minerals beneath the earth's surface, water on or below the earth's surface, and the air above. So very good there. All right, number 5. Again, we're continuing with rights. Property rights, the different rights that an owner has, bundle of rights and others, and real property. So these are questions that pertain to the topic we just discussed earlier in the session for anybody who just came on. These are national. Which of the following best describes the legal concept of personal property? Personal versus real. A, any item which is acquired in a fee simple sale transaction. B, any item of property that is not definable as real property. C, any movable property owned by an individual, partnership, or corporation. Or D, any item that is not a natural item affixed to the earth. So what is the best description of legal concept of personal property? It is not C. It is not C. So what is personal property? What's the opposite of personal property? Any item of property that is not definable as real property. Oh, did I skip number 4? No, right? Oh, I skipped number 4. I'm so sorry. We will go back to number 4. Okay, so number 5, any item of property, B, that is not definable as real property. Thank you, Lisbeth. I caught myself also. Now, C says any movable property owned by an individual, partnership, or corporation. So the best definition, so which of the following best describes the legal concept of personal property? Any item that is not defined as real property. So we'll go to number 4. Thank you, Lisbeth. Okay, did you all get that? Several of you answered C, any movable property owned by an individual, partnership, or corporation. The best is, it is movable property, okay? However, personal property is also your jewelry, your your clothing, anything that you personally own, your computers or whatever. So what up? All right, so it's any item of property that is not defined as real property. That best describes personal property. All right, number 4. The bundle of rights refers to a set of rights. Okay, see that? Rights. Those are rights. A, enjoyed by the owner of a property. B, that is synonymous with the Bill of Rights. C, guaranteed to citizens by the Statute of Statute of Rights. Or D, specified in a deed or land contract. So we're talking about real property, right? When it comes to bundle of rights, it's the best way to own property. Real property, land and the improvements. That's your real estate. So real property, okay, it's the land and the improvement. Real estate, you have an interest in that real property. What is it? Is it A, B, C, or D? Come on, come on. So anybody that just came on, we're doing a section. We reviewed the rights of an owner to real property. And now we're doing questions that go along with that topic, that concept. The answer is A. Enjoyed bundle of rights refers to set of rights enjoyed by the owner of a property. So they get to enjoy, possess, encumber, exclude. Okay, so it's typically 5 things, and that you can do it by putty or deep sea. All right, so that was 1.4a. All right, we already did number 5, so let's go to number 6. The right to encumber a property means that the owner can. So here's a right, okay, to encumber. To what is encumber, right? To attach something to it. It can be a loan or other, right? A, sell the property to an encumbered party. B, pledge the property as collateral for debt. C, lease the property. Or D, assign the bundle of rights to another. So how would you have an encumbrance? How would you encumber a piece of real property? Real estate, your interest in that real property, how would you encumber it? It comes down to vocabulary, right? And we reviewed a little bit earlier. So yes, the answer is B. You're pledging the property as collateral for debt. So you pledge the property what to the lender, right? So now the lender has, in certain states, they have legal title. Other states, they have equitable title, depending on whether it's a mortgage or a deed of trust. So 1.6. So they pledge the property as collateral. So that's how a property is encumbered. The right to encumber, that's one of the bundle of rights. They get to get a loan on it, get a home equity line of credit, and improve it, or use it, use their equity to pay off some other debt. Number 7. A property owner leases 60 acres of agricultural land for a renewable period of 5 years. Okay, so they're leasing it for 5 years at a time that can be renewed, the whole 60 acres. Who would normally do that? Farmers that want to go crop on the surface, right? In the context of real estate rights, this lease represents A or N, a transfer of a portion of the bundle of rights. B, encroachment of the bundle of rights. C, conveyance of the complete bundle of rights. Or D, encumbrance of the tenant's rights. So remember, we have subsurface, from the surface to the center of the earth. We have surface, awesome soil, or the air rights, allowing somebody to fly above you like drones, right? So now there's legal laws also to protect for individuals that fly drones. A is what we have. Apple, apple. And yes, the answer is A. A transfer of a portion of the bundle of rights, right? They're allowing the farmer to use the surface land, to possess it and enjoy it. To possess it, enjoy it, and to use it, okay? They're going to go crop on the surface. Those crops are called emblements. They belong to the tenant. So all the crop that's going to be on 60 acres, that belongs to the tenants. Should the owner decide to sell, that lease, okay, stays in place until the farmer harvests their crop, because the crop belongs to the tenant. All right, number 8. Got to go a little bit faster because we have another session after this on state. All right, number 8. A homeowner is very upset over a drone that a neighbor flies over their house. He takes his case to court to end the possible violation of rights. Does he have a case? And on what basis? A, no, the neighbor is not physically on his property. No, the drone is in the air, so he cannot exercise any surface rights. Yes, is C, the owner has the right to stop encroachments. Or D, yes, the drones infringe on his air rights. So type your answer in the chat. Remember, air rights, surface rights, subsurface rights, right? From the surface to the center of the earth, right? Below the surface to the center of the earth, that's the subsurface rights. The surface is the soil, the minerals, and you put the improvements there. And then the air, you get to enjoy with somebody, without somebody coming around and checking you out. I can't tell who is this person here, because I can't tell who it is based on, darn it, on Facebook. So I can't see where you're posting, but it would be nice if you could tell us your name. So the answer is D, right? Yes, the drones infringe on air rights. Okay, those are our rights on the air. Number 9. 1.8. Littoral rights apply to which of the following? A, boatable ponds entirely contained within the boundaries of an owner's property. B, streams and rivers. C, navigable lakes, seas, and oceans. Or D, navigable streams and rivers. Littoral. L and L. L and L. All right. So you all are doing good on this. Yes, the answer is C, navigable lakes, seas, and oceans. Even though the lakes and the seas are not a stream or a river, you still have boaters on their ships, right? That bring imports and exports. So they're navigable lakes, seas, and oceans. That's littoral. L with lakes. L, lakes. Number 10. A retired couple has just bought a retirement home with a pier on a large lake. In this case, the retiree's water rights extend to where? Okay, on a large lake, pier on a large lake. A, the high water mark of the body of water at the shoreline. B, the low water mark of the body of water at the shoreline. C, the center of the lake. Or D, the end of the pier. Which would this be? So you're dealing with a pier on a large lake that the retired couple bought. So how far do their rights extend? No, remember, it's a huge lake. When it's a huge lake, when it's a creek, okay, or a stream, it goes to the center. That would be riparian. When it's a large body of water, then it goes to the high water mark of the body of water at the shoreline. And the state or the government own from that point under and down. So the answer is A, to the high water mark of the body of water at the shoreline, because it's a large lake, okay, and it's the ocean or it is the sea. You can't own to the center of it. If it's a stream or a creek, then yes, and that would be under riparian laws, okay, riparian rights. So remember, littoral, okay, it's a littoral rights concern properties abutting bodies of water that are not moving, such as lakes and seas. Owners of properties abutting in a navigable, non-moving body of water, okay, enjoy the littoral right of use, and sometimes they can use the water, but do not own the water nor the land beneath the water. The legal premise underlying the definition of littoral right is that a lake or sea is a navigable body of water, therefore public property owned by the state. By contrast, a body of water entirely contained within the boundaries of an owner's property is not navigable. So a small lake or a pond, okay, in their particular property. In such case, the owner would own the water as well as unrestricted rights of usage. That's different. That's a pond. But in a large body of water, okay, as in a huge lake, public lake, okay, then they own to the high water mark of the body of that water at their shoreline. Okay, number 11. So did y'all get that? Remember, if it's a small body of water on your land, like a pond, then you own it. If it's a huge body of water, it's navigable yet, but it's not moving like a river, okay? Well, you're going to say, well, it does move, right? Because you have waves. Well, yes, but that's not what they're talking about. It's not navigable, like a river or a large creek. Then it's owned to the shoreline. That's their boundary line. If the shoreline goes down, then they owe to the shoreline, right? Where the high water mark is. Like when you have a major flood, the high water is going to go up. If it always stays up, then that's where the new ownership of the land is. You get to lose some of the surface of the land. When it ends up going down, then you owned a little bit more of the land. All right, number 11. A waterfront homeowner has just died. What will become of the water rights the owner enjoyed while living in the home? A, they revert to the state when the property is sold. B, they are extinguished. C, they are a personal right belonging to an individual owner, not attaching to the real property. Or D, they transfer with the property when the property is sold. Okay, so a waterfront, so you have lakefront, oceanfront, okay, has just died. What becomes of the water right the owner enjoyed while living on the home? Okay, they bought a waterfront property. So do they lose them? Do they go away? Does it revert to the state? Or does it move with the property, stay with the property? Those are permanent rights that go with the land. All right, so the answer here is D. They transfer with the property when the property is sold. Awesome, Lisbeth, Delta, and Cindy. Very good. All right, number 12. Okay, now we go to riparian. R. What does it stand for? What it relates to? Riparian rights. Okay, we're still talking about rights. Concern which of the following bodies of water? Is it A, lakes, B, seas and oceans, C, streams and rivers, or D, navigable lakes? Which one is it? Which one is it? Type it in the chat. Let's move right along. So we've got CCC, wee. And yes, the answer is C. Streams and creeks, right? And rivers. Y'all got that right? Yeah, I think everybody got it right there. Gee, I forget what time the next session is starting. So I think we're done with, let me see here. Okay, so here we're still in dealing with property and rights. Which of the following best describes a fixture? A, any item of personal property positioned within the boundaries of a parcel of real estate. B, an item of personal property that has been converted to real property. C, an item of real property temporarily placed on land for the purpose of conducting a business. Or D, an item of personal property that has been left in one location for a period of 6 months. So what is best describes a fixture? Okay, what is a fixture when it comes to real property? And yes, 113 is B. It is any item, an item of personal property that has been converted to real property. Okay, so a surface fence was permanently attached, that became real property. All right, number 14. Oh, I need to type the answer. All right. All right, what was number 13? Okay, B. All right, number 14. An item may be considered personal property as opposed to real property, provided that what? A, the owner intended to remove it after a period of time. B, it can be removed without altering the appearance of the structure. C, it is unnecessary to the physical integrity of the structure. Or D, the owner installed it at some time after acquiring the real property. So an item may be considered personal property as opposed to real property. Under what circumstances? Remember the 5 conditions of Maria? All right, so far we've got B, and the answer is not B. The answer is actually A. The owner intended to remove it after a period of time. Remember on Maria, you have the method, the attachment, the relationship, the intention, okay, and agreement. So here it had the what was it? The intent. The owner intended, okay, intended, right? Intended to remove it. So what was the intention of that property, personal property? Was it intended to be a permanent fixture, or was it intended to be removed when they left? So it was intended to be removed when they sold. So that's one of the items to check as to what was it in the method that personal property was on there. All right, number 15. I'm trying to remember if this goes now into, yeah, we're still on interest. So 2 people own a house, such having an undivided equal interest. Which of the following best describes what each party owns? A, 50% of the physical property, house, and the land it rests on. B, 100% of the home and the land. C, 50% of the estate consisting of the indivisible whole of the real property. Or D, each owns 100% of the estate represented by the real property, and 50% of the physical house and the land it rests on. So remember, deep sea. So two people own a house, each having an indivisible equal interest. Which of the following best describes what each party owns? So we have C, 15C. And that is correct. Each owns 100% of the estate represented by the real property and 50% of the physical house and the land it rests. I'm sorry, reading the wrong one. 50% of the estate consisting of the indivisible whole of the real property. So each one owns 50%, right? It says undivided equal interest. So they are two individuals, so they own it 50-50. But they get to use the whole land. They get to possess the whole land, enjoy the whole land. It's just the monetary interest of that property. They each own 50%. All right, so we just finished discussing rights, okay, which have to do with rights of real property and personal property. Okay, so this is the topic that we were on, rights for national principles and law key point review. So we reviewed the rights, okay, of personal and real property. Okay, at the beginning of the video, you'll be able to see this. And then we reviewed some questions having to do with that topic, that concept. Okay, no questions. Any questions before we call it a end of this session? And then I created another video, so we just focus on Texas State. That way you can view whichever material works for you. Vocabulary or national questions with a particular topic, or then Texas. So if no questions, we'll call it a day for this topic today. So this is Lillie Handy Dominguez coming to you from San Antonio, Texas with YouTube Agent Prep. If this is your first time to my channel, remember to check that tab, that's the subscribe button. Click that little bell so you're first to get notified, and like this video if you found it useful. Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, if you're needing to do Texas State, stay tuned for the next video coming up.